Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. If you've ever, just sat there and wondered why we go through such painful hurdles in life and how those exact obstacles might actually be the secret key to a huge spiritual awakening, well, you're absolutely going to love this. Today, we're unpacking some really profound concepts from Chapter 4 of The Origin of Happiness.
The source material we're diving into today explores a truly powerful premise. It looks at how our absolute deepest, most painful human struggles can actually act as the catalyst for total spiritual transformation. It literally flips the script on how we normally think about failure.
We're going to follow a pretty clear arc today. We'll trace the journey from dealing with earthly hardships to keeping our hearts pure, tackling self-exhibitionism, healing from inferiority, and finally, getting to the true origin of faith.
All right, let's get right into our first section, Encounters Through Hardship, and why our absolute lowest points actually matter. So the text starts by asking this incredibly fundamental question, one we've all probably asked ourselves at some point. If the divine exists, if there's a higher ideal, why is there just so much suffering, illness, and failure in the world? Why all the heartbreak?
Well, the author points out that these incredibly relatable worldly failures aren't just random punishments. Think about it. Bombing a crucial exam, facing a terrifying illness, getting rejected for that job you desperately wanted, or going through a brutal breakup. The text actually suggests these exact painful experiences are built-in mechanisms designed to turn us deeply toward the divine. Basically, they force us to look up when absolutely everything around us feels like it's completely falling apart.
Think of it this way. A completely smooth life, getting straight A's, landing the perfect job, having a flawless marriage might actually mean you never end up encountering the divine. Why? Because you never actually need to search for any deeper meaning. But, as we know, over 99% of people experience deep failure and sleepless nights. And the wild thing is, within those exact stormy setbacks, that's where the hidden seeds of true spiritual joy are actually planted.
Moving right along to Section 2, Keeping the Heart Pure, and how we go about removing the mind's cloudiness.
Now, the text explicitly brings in this very famous quote from Jesus, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." And it uses this to emphasize that having a pure mind is literally the absolute prerequisite for any real, profound encounter with the divine. I mean, it makes sense, right? You simply can't connect with a higher truth if your internal lens is all clouded up.
So how do we actually get that purity? Well, it is definitely not a passive process. The source defines the method as rigorous self-reflection. It requires us to actively pinpoint and then correct those thoughts that just don't align with a higher will. It's really about consciously sweeping away the daily cloudiness of our frustrations, our arrogance, and all those petty grievances we hold on to.
That brings us to Section 3, Overcoming Self-Exhibitionism, or basically, the ultimate battle with the human ego.
The text gives a pretty stark warning here. It says that constantly wanting to be recognized as wonderful, always waiting around for the applause of others, often stems from a really toxic comparative desire. It's that ego-driven trap of feeling like you are only high up if someone else is pushed down. True faith, on the other hand, operates in a completely different universe. It doesn't look for applause at all. It just genuinely hopes for the success and happiness of other people. And there's this absolutely beautiful metaphor the author uses to explain this. True faith means silently planting seeds and bulbs for future generations. It's the quiet, everyday dedication of putting good out into the world, without feeling this desperate need to pluck the flowers right now just so you can decorate yourself. It's literally a total surrender of needing that immediate, ego-boosting recognition.
Let's transition into Section 4, Healing Inferiority with Love, which serves as the perfect antidote to inner turmoil.
You see, underneath that desire to show off, there's usually a deeper wound. When dealing with an inferiority complex, the text outlines two really common traps we fall into. Trap number 1 is just being completely crushed by it, letting it become the root cause of lifelong unhappiness. Trap number 2 is using it as this desperate, tightly coiled spring to overachieve just to prove everyone wrong. But here is the critical observation the source makes. Both of these types of people are completely lacking genuine inner peace. They're still entirely driven by a wound.
So what's the fix? Well, the solution provided by the source is incredibly profound. To overcome this complex, we have to start by actually believing in ourselves as children of God, recognizing that we have an innate, divine worth. Once you have that solid foundation, love literally becomes the universal medicine. By giving unconditional, unexpected love to others, without demanding a single thing in return, we actually end up healing the deep-seated wounds of our own inferiority. It's a total game changer. And finally, Section 5, the true origin of faith, where we reach the summit of this journey.
Okay, so here is the ultimate culminating truth of the text. Faith absolutely does not start with thinking you are perfect. In fact, if you are 100% completely satisfied with yourself, the seed of faith might actually never sprout for you. The true origin of faith starts with a really humble, deeply honest awareness of your own flaws and your own incompleteness. It's a continuous upward striving toward a divine ideal, recognizing, hey, we are always going to be a work in progress, and that is exactly the point.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative question taken straight from the source's wisdom. Take a look at your own life right now, your struggles and your ambitions. When you face a hardship or when you're chasing success, ask yourself, are you just plucking flowers to decorate yourself in the present moment, or are you silently, humbly planting seeds for others to enjoy long into the future? Something to really chew on. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the origin of faith.